Hello, 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 hello. Greetings, Earthlings. I believe this is the first time that we went live and we were actually ready and we weren't cutting up going in to going live.
It's a new season.
Like we were quiet, we were poised, we were focused. What's going on? What is
Like
this?
what is this?
In my Walter Hawkins voice, what is this?
What?
Don't start it. See, there you go.
Oh man,
It don't take much.
at all on no day.
It
Welcome,
don't take.
welcome, welcome to the show, everybody. It's been a minute. It's been about 3 months.
Oh,
It's been about 3 months. But we're back. We're back in the building. Life has been lifing. We have been resetting and restructuring, and we have been living. But we're back with the peeps, and I got my two genius sensations with me. It's
ooh,
always a
sensation.
blast.
Sensation.
It's genius sensations.
Mm.
Sensational geniuses.
Mm.
Either works for me.
She's the
Okay,
genius. I'm sensational though.
okay. Is that what we doing?
You felt something?
This is gonna be my new stripper name. That's sensational. That's
Not the sensational.
Why you
Man,
like that? What is this?
welcome back.
welcome back. You back
That's
in
what
the
you been
game,
doing for
man.
3 months?
Back in the game.
Look at it. Smoky eyes and everything.
Look, I was trying to catch it.
Right. Like,
Wow.
Okay. That's it. You done?
I'm done. I'm done
Well, since you're showing out so hard right now,
for
go
now.
ahead and introduce yourself. Who is you?
You know, my name is LeAnzar Czar Stockley, and I am I'm what they call a certified relationality specialist, and I'm also a grief recovery method specialist, board certified mental health coach, and author, father of three, friend to many, enemy to zero.
Hmm.
And I'm just here. I'm just here on this planet, trying to be sensational,
Mm,
trying to make a change,
mm,
looking at the man in the mirror,
mm.
trying to help folk love well, get their mental well-being together, get their spiritual intelligence in line and in check. And yeah, that's me, man. That's me. Oh,
It's the dimples for me, though. It's the
is
dimples.
it? Is it?
It's the dimples. You low key doing it. You low key doing it.
I don't.
So I want to do something different, Mr. Sensational. You did a hell of an intro for yourself.
Hmm.
I would like for you to introduce Angel Simmons.
Let me tell you something right now. Y'all see this specimen right over here?
Specimen.
Is she next to me or is she over me? I don't know how she is.
I'm next to you, boo.
Over
I'm
there with the
right
hair
next.
flowing. Not the other one with the hair flowing, because we'll introduce her in a minute, but this other one with the hair flowing. This is the, can y'all spell Z? Thee? This is the this is the Angel Simmons. She's a coach. She's for relationships and grief. She's a lover, not a fighter, depending on what day you catch her. She's the author of two. She's the author of
Are you manifesting right now?
Manifesting. She's the author of 3 books. Really, right now in the manifestation list is 2. There they go, right there. She is the extraordinaire. I was going to say debonair, but that's me. So, but she is the extraordinaire Angel the Simmons.
Mm.
founder of Love's Great Design and the Message Inc. Peace. Where's your pose, girl? Where's your pose? I don't like that one. Give me a different one. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
Show them on the show.
What? Well,
And here they are. And here we are. Welcome to the show with these two. Don't y'all got some websites or something though?
Oh,
I was doing the thing. I was
Oh,
doing the
hey,
I
I
check
think
out
they're
was
that too.
scrolling at the bottom, right?
there's
Yeah.
the before,
Okay.
the
Oh, so it's
before,
underneath,
the
but okay.
after, and he go
The
to right
okay. All right. Welcome, welcome. I'm Bryson. My catalog is nowhere near as deep as theirs, but I'm
now.
here. Um, might moderate, might manage, might book, might interview, might vibe in the media world a little bit. Um, Trying to keep up with the big dogs. But you can find me at the original Bryson. You can find me at Sweet Spot Media. Um, you can find me in these streets. No, I'm just playing.
Just because you're in the streets don't mean you're for the streets.
Nope.
Oh,
That's
and
right. That's right.
I'm not of the
Of
streets.
the streets. She in the streets, but not of the streets.
So I feel like we have so much to catch up on.
Mm.
And I want to, I guess, obviously be transparent as we always are, but I want to catch up with you guys like individually,
Mm.
and collectively. And, give us a brief synopsis of what's been going on in your world over the past few months. Obviously, whatever you're comfortable in sharing, but, let's just kind of center and connect with those who are watching so they don't think we don't have no problems.
Mm,
Mm.
mm. Ladies first.
Okay, well, I just shared with the team. This was self-care Sunday for me. Chilling in my brand new Sheen onesie because Sheen got a chokehold on the women right now.
Can we? You gonna stand up? You gonna?
No, you just gonna
Oh,
get
come on! I see
just
the
that.
boom. You did the boom boom, didn't
Just
she?
gonna get that.
Boom, boom.
Just
Do
that.
it one more time.
Just.
Boom.
But it's that self-care Sunday for me. I got a little nap, took myself to breakfast. Um, Catching up with me, I just told the crew that this week in the um, last 5 days, I have had physical therapy because I am still recovering from a major surgery I had in August. I had counseling therapy because I'm trying to practice what I preach.
Mm,
And I have not sat in nobody's chair in many years. Um, and today I had massage therapy because physical therapy wore me out, and I needed to be touched. Uh, yes, hallelujah. Um, but I have been working on managing my stress,
mm,
um, setting boundaries, as well as checking in with my body. That has been the main theme for me. Before the surgery and after the surgery. My nickname is Wonder Woman, and I think I can do all things, because the word tells us we can do all things. But I be trying to do all things in my own strength.
mm,
And one thing recovery will do is humble you, and sit you down before you think you should or think you have to. So simple things that y'all take for granted, like coughing, sneezing, blowing your nose,
mm.
walking up and down the stairs. Listen, recovery makes all those things, swallowing, uh,
So,
uh,
who?
eating food, just simple things like eating and drinking. I couldn't crunch my ice. Um, you know, just stuff that we take for granted physically, when you are taking a bunch of medication, and taking pills every day and in and out of consciousness. It's a trip. It is a trip. Um, some people checked on me, some people didn't.
That's how I go.
Uh, some people didn't check on me the way I wanted them to. Some people checked on me way too much. And some folks was checking in with other folks and sharing my recovery journey that I didn't grant permission to be shared. So it's a lot. It's been a very interesting process for me. Healing. I do believe healing is a personal journey. But when you have a circle, your circle heals with you. Your circle recovers with you. Your circle struggles with you, depending on the tightness of your circle. And you really have to set those boundaries and expectations of what you need, and not be afraid to use that voice and say, I need something different. No, you can't come to my house. Um, but I would really like for you to call me, But yes, you can text me, but please don't call me. you know, you have to be clear, and those expectations might change, and don't feel guilty about it. You need something different on a different day. Um, so that's what I've been doing since y'all last saw me. And I did go back to work full time way too soon,
Mm,
just like I did after the first surgery I had years ago. But it was a different environment. It was very supportive. I did not feel overwhelmed. I just knew
that's
my body should have rested more. So,
yeah, that's good. That's good. Me, I've just been working, trying to, most people know I'm trying to get my finances right. They ain't been right for a long time, but I'm trying to get them right. So, leading a lot of groups and getting more clients coming in and stuff like that, for counseling. For those that don't know that what I do, for counseling and like I said, leading a lot of support groups. I think I have about 15 or 16 a week. No, about 15. Yeah, yeah, something like that.
mm,
Just groups that I'm having to do every week. So I'm engaging quite a few people. I did one count one day, and I think throughout the day I had engaged. I think it was close to 200 something people. Just in the different groups throughout the day or whatever. So I've been basically dealing with that, and it's actually been pretty decent, been pretty good. Y'all know I generally feel people's energies and stuff like that. And what I found is when I'm in spaces now where even though I can be in spaces with people who are heavy and carrying heavy things, I can manage a lot better feeling their energy because they're open. I realize that some of the things that's draining is when I'm with a group of resistant folks, or
mm,
when I'm sitting with people who aren't even trying to heal. And one of the great things about what I'm doing right now is I'm in a space where people actually come for that reason. So when they're in that space for that reason, it's a lot easier to sit with them, in regards to that. So that's pretty much what I've been doing, trying to figure out my life, trying to see what I want to do next. And transparently speaking, in addition to that, although I'm sitting with a lot of other people, um, I've been personally struggling myself with loneliness, with my own sense of loneliness. Um, and not just because there are not a bunch of people around, or not even because I don't have friends particularly, but hugely I feel disconnected. I feel very disconnected. It's not new though. This has been several years. So this has been several years happening where there's just this. I believe that ultimately the answer for loneliness is connection. And transparently speaking, that's something that I'm missing in my life. I said I had a conversation actually with one of my friends the other day, and he messaged because did a post about, do you sit with your friends when they're struggling, or do you just dismiss them and defer them to prayer? And a friend of mine messaged, and he says, yeah, and he mentioned his best friend. He says, yeah, when it's my best friend, I'm able to whatever. And I said, that's one thing I'm missing. I'm missing the connection of those kind of friendships deeper than ever. And people go, "Oh, aren't you in a relationship? Aren't you?" Yeah, but there's no way you can
Mm,
expect one person to be a
mm-mm,
community.
mm-mm.
You know, you don't expect that's unfair to anybody to expect one individual to be a community of people, and recognizing that we all need that community. So I'm navigating it all, doing what I do, and but I'm also like friend just said, like Angel just said, it's like learning how to be assertive in saying this is what I need. That don't mean people are gonna meet it. It don't mean that they're gonna come and be able to do it. They're gonna come and be able to whatever. But it
Mm-hmm.
does mean that you have to communicate what you need. And you know what we do when we do that? And maybe I'm going there. I don't even know what our topic is today. But when we do that, I think we do set ourselves up for a better chance of making connection and actually knowing, not just how I know your name, but actually really knowing one another so that now we can start having fulfilling relationships. So it's like I'm in a space now where I'm trying to create things, try to create events. I try to, sometimes here we have a, hey, y'all come over, let's go sit around the fire and talk, or, whatever the case may be, or here's this event coming up, or this and coming up, because I'm trying to not have relationships that are just based off of memory, but relationships that are creating new ones and forming new ones, and having moments to reflect memories that we can think about when we are apart. So that's pretty much where I'm at now these days, with things. And some of that's not me saying that this connection is not so much to say it's people's fault. There's nobody's fault. I said to a friend right here, she messaged, I think, when she was going through her, right, just coming out of her stuff, and said, I ain't talked to you and such. And I said, you want me to be honest?
Oh,
I
he
talk to
was.
people. I talk to people all day, and I usually don't, and I don't get done until like nine something at night, whatever. It's like I don't be wanting to talk.
And I had to be okay with that. I was not,
Mm.
but I had to be. I had to be because those are his boundaries. This is his
Yeah.
life, and talking on the phone is not part of it at this particular time. That's what I needed, but
Hmm.
okay. Ain't no
Yeah.
worse than making somebody do something they don't want to do. If you don't want to talk to me, it's cool.
And
But I also had to not be offended by his boundaries.
right.
This is
And
where he
not a
at. And
boundary.
I talked about you because I called Bryson. I talked about you.
And
So
not even a boundary in the sense of policing people out, but
yes,
saying I wouldn't be present.
and I think that is what changed the offense to understanding.
Hmm.
And that's what I mean by trying to make people do something. I'm like, I'm not gonna keep calling you. You're not gonna answer the phone.
Hmm.
Or I don't want you to be upset because I keep calling and I already told her I don't feel like talking. No, we're not. We don't have to go there. When you feel like
Yeah.
talking, I got 5 hours for you. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
And thank God it didn't get there. It didn't get there. But although usually people call me right in the middle of groups. So I only talk to like three or four people on the phone ever. Anyway. And unfortunately, even those people have been missing. There's been that missing of connect. My brother being one of them. Haven't talked to him, and that's
Mhm.
you know like one of the top people in my life.
Yeah.
And but it's like when he's available, I ain't. When and then my groups are all spread out, and then if somebody calls, and I don't be thinking put the phone on silent, because if I put the phone on silent, it's on silent for
Uh,
it's on silent for 4 weeks.
look who it is.
you know
Somebody else don't
but
answer.
it but it definitely because a lot of the work I do is through an app, so when calls or different things come through, it glitches everything out, and I'm missing people in the middle of their shares and all kind of
Mhm.
whatever. But it's like relationships happen like that, and they go like that.
Yeah.
And this is also why I think that it's deeply important that your friends know your heart,
Yeah.
so
That
that it
that part.
yeah.
That keeps the offense out.
Sorry, Bryson, that's what you asked what we was doing. I know that ain't even the topic for today. Yeah.
It might be because we always seem to dive into something. But
Ramona,
hey, Chrissy,
hey,
I called you. I saw you call me back. I was asleep. But yeah, like that. Um, and I think we also have to remember um, that our lives are in different stages. Um,
mm-hmm.
just based on the fact that I'm a single woman, single as in unmarried. I have no children. Um, So if you are something other than that, we on a different page. And our conversation is going to be different. I just told y'all I had a massage this morning, took myself to breakfast, came home and took a nap.
Mm.
I don't want to hear about all your stuff you did and meetings and
Mm.
concerts and uh, you and the husband had a movie night, or you and your wife went somewhere. That's nice, but I'm telling you about my massage I had this morning. So we're on a different page. There's some things that we have to make allowances for, even in those friendships that are people that are on a different page. But I think we also need to be conscious when we're talking,
Yes.
especially during my recovery. During my recovery, I don't want to hear about you and your babies.
Mm. Mm.
I'm at
Mm-hmm.
home with my I have a lovely C-section. I don't want to hear
What
about
was the sound effect though?
because that's how I felt like I was sliced open. This ain't really the time I want to hear about what your toddler is doing at home. No,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not. It wasn't even a mourning situation because I wasn't mourning. But I just don't want to hear that.
Mm.
And
Mm.
if you're going to call me with babies screaming in the background, maybe call me another time. And if your life is always babies screaming in the background, say that, so I can adjust before you call me. I want to call you, but the kids is whatever or whatever. Because I typically don't call people from work when I'm at school and students are all over the place and parents is knocking on the door. I'm gonna find the spot. When do I call you? In my car,
On the way home.
on the way home, on the way to work, on the way to visit mama, on the way back, because on the way is an hour for me. Once I'm here and in this sanctuary, I don't be having a whole lot of conversation unless somebody call me on video. And they know what they're gonna get. They know what they'll get because you know where I am and you know how I live. So we have to understand where our friends are in their private journeys before we try to set those expectations for them.
Yeah. And I don't like it, so we got to do better with it all. When life be life, but you know what it, it is what it is. What we talking about today, Bryce?
It's very interesting.
I love it. I love
So the topic for the evening, all of everything you guys just talked about leads to the road to intimacy, right? And
Mm.
it.
that
Yep.
was a great introduction. Y'all took a lot off of me. I ain't got nothing to do now. I don't have anything to do. But intimacy and all of its dynamics. So when I say, I guess when you hear the word intimacy, what's your first thought? What? Hold on. Let me give a shout out to everybody that's here because I see you guys. Thank you so much, Marnisha. Hey, Chrissy, Tiffany, Lafayette, Erica. Thank you guys and everybody else that I can't see. We want to see. Oh, we want to see your face. We get to see their face.
If they jump on screen, if they click on that link, we can
Come
put it in
on
the.
on the clicker.
Mhm.
All right, that's what's up, you guys. If you guys got something to say, if you want to chime in on this topic of intimacy, definitely feel free to do so. And what you say does not reflect the people or the show,
The views,
the
right?
views. Thank you. The views of the show. But this is a free and safe space. So come and do what you please, say what you please, and keep in mind that you might be questioned. So don't be offended because we wants to know. You might have more insight than we do, or additional insight. So the road to intimacy though, what does what's the first thought when you hear the word intimacy? What's your first thoughts?
My first thought was depth of relationship. You know,
Depth of
depth,
relationship.
Depth.
depth.
Oh, I was gonna say, dang.
Listen, see, I should have took the things out. Depth of relationship. When I think about connections, they're in different stages. I have people that I rely on, period. People I rely on for certain things. People I know I can count on for these things, and then it's just other people. Um, we don't, and it's not to say we don't value uh, relationships more or less, but we understand them differently. Um, we handle them differently. And I think we have to. So when I think about depth, I think about sharing, I think about communication, I think about um, trauma and secrets and and what it is that you can manage and from other people, as well as how much they can handle of your life um, at that
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody doesn't make space for you in the same way. Everybody is not a safe space.
Hmm.
Neither is that vehicle going down the street. Boy.
Well,
Ooh,
yeah,
wait.
everybody is not a safe space, and everybody does not make a safe space for you. I don't feel safe with everybody that
Hmm.
I'm connected to, so I'm going to connect with them differently. So when I talk about the depth of those relationships, that's what I'm thinking of. How much we are able to connect, how deep we are able to connect with these people in certain spaces, or at least in our dark spaces. Who can you connect with in your dark spaces?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Because that's when you need the most light and the most connection. I think it means the most during those times, but that doesn't mean anybody else is less valuable. It's just not as deep of a connection.
Hmm. Yeah. First thing came to my mind when you said intimacy. Um, first thing when the first thing that came to my mind when you said it um, was sex. Because generally that's the general consistency when people hear
That
that word
sounds real.
is sex. Because I think a lot in terms of how people are going to hear what comes out. So I think that's why my mind immediately went there. But the second thing that came to my mind genuinely was vulnerability. Because that's just another hot topic right now. That's another hot word right now that people are resistant to but seeking at the same time. And sometimes we're seeking things and we don't even realize that we're seeking that. So then we end up in some other stuff when this is really what we were seeking. But the word vulnerability kind of came to mind. But I really believe that intimacy. I was in I'm a part of a podcast too called The Fourth Frequency, and the one of the questions came up was, do we need romantic relationships in order to reach our fullest potential in love? And my answer to that was no. However, I do believe we need intimate relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Which can be a friend, can be a significant other, can be a family member, can be whatever. But I think that we actually need that intimacy. Um, so it's really the cliche definition of intimacy has been what into me you see. So it's like just that whole idea of who really sees you, who really knows you. Even when I was saying in the open of this, it's like I really desire, and I'm learning this more and more as I'm tapping into my most authentic self, my most essential self. I really do desire to be seen, known, loved, heard, and to rest. To be able to rest in relationships. And to me, when the more elements of that I have in a relationship, the more intimate I believe that relationship is. The more that there's being seen, known, loved, heard, and the ability to rest in that relationship. It feels more intimate. It feels more connected. Um, but it increases accountability
Mm-hmm.
to one, to be who I am, but also to receive and accept the other people who are in that relationship and be accountable to them as well. So that's what I was thinking when you said intimacy was that sex and then the vulnerability part and just how all that entails. I'm sure we'll get more into all of that, but yeah.
And that's real. A lot of people, that's usually where their mind goes initially. Um, and that, I mean, if that's okay, if that's what intimacy is to you. Um, I'll pull out my paper.
That was something that I had to reevaluate, as one recovering from surgery and not able to participate in some activities that were listed. Um, Redefining intimacy
You couldn't
was some,
participate in vulnerability.
yeah, I could participate in that. Um, but I had to redefine what intimacy looks like,
Mm,
because there's a component um, that was missing, that I was not able to partake of. Um, and in my redefining it, I was able to see where it was missing
mm.
and find new places of it.
Elaborate that, because Bryson thinking something else.
I know it.
What did you find, friend? What
um,
was your finding?
well,
What did
it's
you
like
discover?
when you
New places.
um, when you have been in relationship for a long time, you make the assumption that certain components are present,
Mm,
intimacy being one of them. It's just something we say, we expect it is, that's it's supposed to be, especially if it's a romantic relationship. You assume that it includes intimacy, but when certain things are taken out, romantic things are taken out, sex is removed from the equation. Where is intimacy without sex and romance?
mm,
And those
mm,
were things that I had to redefine, or at least reevaluate, if it was even present and what that should look like. Because if that's all it is, that's not real intimacy. That's
mm,
exactly what it is: sex and romance. It's not intimacy. So if you take that out, what are you left with? And ultimately, I wasn't left with much. So looking at that picture, kind of showed me where intimacy was in some other spaces. And some of those other spaces, were places where I could be vulnerable. I could
mm,
share. I could
mm,
tap into those dark spaces. There were safe spaces that were somewhere else. And that's intimacy, outside of sex and romance over here.
mhm, mm, mm,
Connection connection looks different on different levels with different people, but um, when there is no connection, then sex and romance it does not help.
mhm.
It will not add to it.
Wow.
And if you remove those things, what are you left with? That was my reflection piece.
Mm,
So that's great. That's great. That leads right into like my thoughts or my question on what ignites intimacy. What is the catalyst of intimacy? Chrissy says intimacy to me is sex, but also meaningful connection with someone. What is the catalyst? Because we could have sex, right? And that doesn't mean that it's intimate. I mean, you're physically
so
intimate,
don't.
Mhm.
So don't.
but is there depth? Is there depth to it? So what do you believe could be some could be the catalyst to intimacy?
I honestly think it's vulnerability. The ability, the willingness to be vulnerable. You know, which also means, because the word vulnerable also means the ability to be wounded. you know, they don't mean we're going to get wounded, but it's the ability to be wounded.
Right.
But at the same time, at the same token, I think that when we are actually open, because like you said, you can be having sex with a whole bunch of folks and not really be intimate with them. All right.
Mm,
And I'm gonna actually say this. You can have sex with some folks because some people would say chemistry, but you can have a whole bunch of sex with folks and there not be the chemistry that people think, but yet it's still intimate. So I've been around the block a little bit. So so the because I think that ultimately what ends up happening is as we open our soul, as we open the essence of who we are, as we really truly open who we are to a person, not just open our legs or drop the draws. When we actually really open ourselves up to a person, it creates, at least for me, my experience is that it creates a bond. It creates a specific bond, especially even being demisexual. It's like for me, it really goes this way. So maybe I'm just speaking for folk that's in my category of living, but it's like when you open yourself up to a person in that way, it creates a level of seeing, it creates a level of knowing, it creates a level of connecting, I think, in a way that supports, that has the ability to support um, sexual relations, so to speak, and all that actually really ends up happening in that space if you choose to go to that direction, if you choose to go there, because I also think that intimacy will let you know whether you shouldn't go in that direction. Otherwise, we'd be sleeping with all our friends, all our
Mm.
intimate friends. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think that sometimes when we really get into that intimate space and start to recognize what's really there and what this really is, but I think that that's hugely important. Vulnerability, nothing on this planet grows without vulnerability. Everybody's afraid of it. Everybody's walking around trying to be protected. And that does not work. It has not worked, right? Because on one end, while you're protected from this, you're causing an issue on this side, you know? And so we're walking around saying we're afraid to be vulnerable, or when I share myself, that's really our natural state of being. That's really how we should be. Nothing on this planet grows without vulnerability. And yet we police when and where to be vulnerable. I'm not saying don't use wisdom. So that's not what I'm saying in this, but I'm just saying how some of our mechanisms stop us from actually coming to that place. But I really think that in order to get into deep, intimate relationship, there has to be vulnerability, whether it's going to be sexual or whether it's not going to be sexual, whether it's just going to be platonic friendship that is a deep friendship and not just the friends you go bowling with. It's going to require some level of vulnerability, of you opening up and having the willingness and the capacity, or the capacity to actually be wounded, hoping it doesn't happen, but you are open to, that it's going to take, it takes risk.
So, and Torin, I really like this comment. Intimacy goes far beyond sex. It's essentially seeing the soul of a person. And that leads me, to my thought of how does intimacy build or break relationships? How can we manifest or participate in true intimacy, um, mentally, emotionally? How does intimacy build and or break relationships?
I think in order to, first of all, we got to be trustworthy. It's, we always say people got to earn trust and earn my whatever, and we live our lives very entitled, as if people, and I think it starts with you. It actually really starts with you, because I see so many people talking about stuff that they want, stuff that they want to do, but they're not even aligned to that very thing themselves. It's like people with trust issues say, "Oh, I got trust issues, whatever." What you don't realize is that if you're walking around with trust issues, you have become just as untrustworthy as the people that you're saying you got trust issues with. So realigning ourselves to being trustworthy beings, being a trustworthy being ourselves, and then trusting ourselves to recognize and discern in others what measure of access they're going to be able to handle, in our lives or whatever. But I think that being trustworthy ourselves is one of the first things that goes. It's one of the things that goes into that. There's some others, but I'm gonna let the good doctor say though, but it's like there's other things that I think goes into that. But I think that that's a huge one, because when you start talking about vulnerability, people automatically go to, I don't trust, or I'm scared they're going to, and it's hindering us. That's a breach of your. I understand why we're that way, but we don't realize that at the same time, now you're doing whatever violated you to make you be that way. Now you've become the same. You've entered into the same energy of it.
Yeah.
Trust is at the very nature, core, essence of our being. So
Mm.
when it's shut down,
Mhm.
when we've shut down, we have a breach that have happened. Again, this is not up to blaming, but it's like we have a breach that is actually going on. So when you've been intimate and someone has done something against that, it breaks some of that in a sense. It takes us away from that core essence.
That was definitely the first word that came to my mind was trust. And I'm actually thinking now um, that trust might even be the opposite of fear. It's on the other end of that, because when you don't have the trust, it is always something that you are afraid of. Either something that happened, something that's going to happen again, something you've imagined, however it is. And talking about vulnerability and intimacy, I know a lot of people, um, their minds go to love first, but trust has always been heavier than love. We can love a lot of people and not trust many of them. So when I think about trust, I think about it being on the other end of the spectrum from fear. If I have trust for you, then I'm not afraid um, to be vulnerable. I'm not afraid that you're going to hurt me. I'm not afraid that you're going to betray me. I'm not afraid that I'm going to lose myself in this thing with you when we have that trust. And like you said, when there's been a breach, we're afraid of all of these things. Everything is a challenge. Everything is resistance, because we've already been broken in those places, and we're only able to be vulnerable, to be intimate. We're only able to even be authentic, our authentic selves, when we are walking in trust with the people that we are in communion with.
And walking in trust with ourselves. Because like you said, the reality is when you've keywords that I think you said, um, being in fear. All right. If we're in fear, right, not even just experiencing it, but if we're in fear, that's now your vibration. You are no longer vibrating at love level, right? We're now vibrating at fear level. So this is also why I say when things are in survival mode, what are they willing to do to survive?
Anything,
Any and everything.
including breaking your trust.
We are most dangerous when we don't trust. It's tight, but it's right. Like, and again, it's not that we are most dangerous when we don't. That don't mean you're going to do everything that somebody has done to you in that kind of way, but it's not our
You
authentic.
might.
It's not our authentic self. It is a natural response. Don't get me wrong. Like something threatens us, we go into. I'm going mental health now in a minute. We going into, the amygdala is activated, right? So then we get into that fight, flight, freeze. Some people fawn kind of situations or whatever. So it's like, but that generally is only supposed to be activated in our brains for maybe about 20 seconds. And we're living whole lives from
20 years.
amygdala responses and trauma responses and what all this cutoff that we see in the world, y'all, these are trauma responses. This is not you flexing, talking about yeah, shit. This is not discernment. It's
Right.
not necessarily wisdom. It's actually trauma response. And again, like I said, so people are living from this fight flight response or whatever. And then after about 30 days, your mental health professional is going to be looking into diagnosing you with PTSD.
Yep.
But you're in the vibration of fear in a sense, when especially when this has become a state of your being. Not just that you have a moment of whatever, but when it's become a state of your being, this is now you're in the vibration of fear, which makes it very difficult to operate from true loving vibrational, existence.
Torin, go ahead and hit that button so you can jump on here because you're dropping a whole lot of gems.
That's
Go
already.
ahead and hit that button and jump in here with us. Without any level of intimacy, there is no relationship. Both parties must be vulnerable in order for intimacy to have its proper place.
Both.
Hmm.
both of them, as they say. Truth. Each party must create a space of trust. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Creating space of trust goes back to understanding the soul of your partner.
And the soul of your partner can never be known and understood if we didn't have or don't have trust and vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
We can cry till we blue in our face. Like I had to realize this one thing where I had a friend that said to me that, yeah, and you, Bryson, when you opened up today, you was like, so that everybody don't just think we don't never had no issues or don't ever have problems. I had a friend that said that we didn't know you had problems. And it bothered
Yeah.
me because it bothered me because either you ain't paying attention
They ain't paying.
or I'm not I'm still walking covered up for whatever reason. It may not even be that, like I'm not saying that in an ill way. Like just saying
Yeah.
there's something that maybe I handle things because I'm so even keeled generally or calm, people won't know some
I'm
things,
telling
or they
you.
won't know that it's as hard as it is, or that it's as tight as it is. And it's like, so I've had to reveal to some people, y'all, if I mention it, it's a big deal. Yeah, especially now more days. I have a very high tolerance for pain. But if
Mm,
I'm saying I'm burned, I'm pooped out, I'm whatever, even if I'm saying I'm not gonna be present on that phone call, I'm not saying that as I don't use these things as scapegoats. It's like, no,
Hmm.
this is next level, whatever that may mean, But so for them to say I didn't know you had problems, to me it was like, okay, I need to. That's when I really shifted my whole life into trying to be a lot more transparent, But what comes with transparency, for me, also kind of comes with vulnerability, So it's like, because I can't say that I don't feel loved or known if I don't let you know me.
mm,
And if I don't present myself to be loved, which means all that I am. There's so many people that even to this day, all they ever see is Minister Pastor LeAnzar.
mm.
And I know it when I'm talking to them. Like that's the only thing that they've ever seen, ever known. That's the only thing they ever want from me, too. So when I mention things like, or even counselor, I had a friend recently say to me, "Stop posting stuff on Facebook about what you." Why? First of all, this is my Facebook. Second of all, I've recognized that most people only talk about their issues once they've gotten the victory or once they've come through it. There is a place for that, not tripping about it. But what I'm also finding, especially in doing the work that I'm doing now on a larger scale, um, people heal in communities where people are going through the same thing that they're going through at the same time. And another thing that I've noticed is when people wait until they've gone through all they've gone through and then start to talk about what they've gone through, they take the approach as an expert.
Mm.
They take the position of teacher and expert. Underneath that, I don't want to call it a facade, but underneath that personality, underneath that testimony is shame. Why you couldn't talk about it while you were going through it? Why you couldn't talk about it while you were in the middle of it? It's because you knew that a society around you didn't want to hear it. In addition to that, or you also thought that they would look differently at you. So I had to become of no reputation, or I'm trying to become of no reputation, so that, and not in a ill, like in a way where it's like you just don't never know what's going to come from Czar, but in a way that just says, no, he's actually really, he's just open. And if something is going on, one, he will tell you, and two, so it's all a vulnerability practice for me. And I was like, I'm not suggesting everybody do what I do and put all your business out there like that. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe your circle can't handle that. Maybe they can. That's a practice for me, to do, because that's what I sense I've needed to do. There's a lot of things people miss. I miss social cues, but I've realized people miss mine. I'm on this whole little spectrum thing. So it's like, it's not just that I miss people's, it's that I think they miss mine. So it's like, I listen for, y'all hear me make the joke all the time, say I listen for my name. That's also me actually saying, that's me also saying, to a certain degree, when Bryson's going through, I'm listening for my name in her. I'm listening for her saying, Zara, I need you. Not Angel, I need you. You know, But all of this is a part of that practice for me.
I just you just took me back to healing and community, and even with that vulnerable space that I was just in, I had to be very careful about who my community was. Um, even before the surgery, I was very selective, um, and I don't like to use the word select. I was very careful, because I've been there before, because I had dealt with a similar thing before, and I can be a little more open. I have lived with fibroids for some years, probably since 2007, and I had a major surgery in 2012, which was a giant C-section, um, and during the pandemic, they grew back. What they cut out of me looked like Mickey Mouse, the head. That's pretty much what it was. I can be open enough to say that here. And it was another C-section, and it was more invasive this time. I had to be very careful, for me, having been through that before, and even having had some of the same friends, on that journey in 2012, to be able to, who needed to know that I was going to be home for 2 weeks and could not leave my house because I wasn't able to do stairs for 2 weeks.
Mm.
A single woman at home by herself, okay, who cannot come in and out. That means ain't gonna be no company, or I'm gonna gotta be very careful with who's in my house because it got to be somebody I can trust with my life because I did not have control over my life at that time. I
Mm.
was healing. I was very limited mobility, so I had to be reflective of, like I said, checking in with my energy, with my pain levels, with whatever was going on. Um, that was a very vulnerable space, and this time I got to feel it. The first time it was a rush to get back to work because I thought I was going to lose my job because it was very clear at the workplace I was in, and that's when I was doing social work. It was very clear that somebody wanted my job. And it was very clear that my employer did not was not pleased with the fact that I was going to be out, for 6 to 8 weeks. And I think I went back in 4.5 or 5 or something. Um, as soon as they say I can do light duty, I was pushing for it, but I was in fear the entire time. There was no real recovery. There was no aftercare. There was no whatever. This time, knowing that I was in a supportive workplace, knowing that I had a tight circle, having mama to show up and cook. I missed that. But having mama to show up and prepare meals and change the ice and, whatever. I was spoiled a little bit. So I got 3 weeks to be at home. Um, I think I left the house twice, maybe 3 times in those 3 weeks. But it was a different experience. But I had to allow myself to be completely vulnerable in those spaces. I was fortunate enough to be able to share what I was about to do, with a few people. And I was fortunate enough that it was a couple of them that said, you know what, me too. Me too, been there, done that. This is what I can offer you. This is what I can tell you. This you gon' you gonna love this part, this you can't wait till you get to that part. And it's like, wait, there's some joy on the other side of this thing, but interesting because I didn't have that experience the first time. So having that community around me, even being able to pick up the phone, while I'm out, y'all, laying in bed, tube tops, hair wasn't done. Like, what's up? It's like, this what you're gonna get. You're not getting this. Okay, you're not gonna get that. Somebody called me and I was literally, I had like I just took my braids out, whatever I had out that day. My hair is like, woo. I'm like, seriously, you called me on video today. This is the day. I've been fine for 2 weeks. This is the day you called me on camera. And he's like, this is exactly what I want to see. This right here. I want to see this. It's like, why would you want to see this? This is not what I want to show you. But real vulnerability, people are gonna see the real you. They don't just see what you show them. You can't be selective. You gonna
Mhm.
get to the top in kitchen. You know, you gonna get sweaty forehead and stomach out because the stomach was out. You're not gonna get Spanx and cute dress. You're gonna get this belly button. So
Right. Right.
it was some changes, and then even being comfortable and vulnerable with myself that my body was going through changes and it's not gonna look the same. There is swelling here. There is a new scar. Thank God it's in the same spot, but there's still scar tissue. You know, there's still whatever. You know, this is gonna look different for me. I got to be wrapped up for a while. Can't wear these cute clothes. You know, weight went up and then went down. You know, it's just being vulnerable with yourself that you're not gonna look the same. Having to
Mhm.
stand in front of the mirror during recovery was not a fun thing to do
Hmm.
because this ain't what it looked like before I got cut.
Yeah.
Now I
Talking
know
about
it's
people getting.
eventually, but they don't look good right now. So even
Hmm.
being vulnerable with you is a process.
Hmm.
Mm.
Talking about people getting that just raw, whatever. And that, we're still talking physically in a sense, but it's like that's what I think intimacy is really about. Like ultimately, in the sense of I'm asking some people go beyond my personality.
Mhm.
I'm inviting you beyond my personality because our personalities can easily become the shield.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It can easily become the thing. Not that personality is bad or whatever, but and just for the sake of conversation, everybody know we're not our personalities. Personality is from the word persona, which means mask, right? And either it serves the seed of the soul or it doesn't, right? And a lot of times when we're in the fearful parts of when we're in fear and the fearful parts of our personality, it's not serving the seed of our soul. But I also recognize that I have a certain personality, and that personality can cause people to miss me, to miss who I am behind it. So it's like without vulnerability or without intimacy, it's like, or with those things, I'm asking people and giving them permission to go behind the scenes, to go behind what's presented and find my true presence of what's really there. Now, again, we don't give that access to everybody. Well, most people don't, but it's like that's what I've recognized that I'm having to have being in a relationship. I'm having to say, I need you to go beyond the personality because it ain't nothing for them to say, oh, I felt like you didn't want to talk today. Probably because my face was, whatever, or I have been working all day. But you have permission to go beyond the veil. You have, and actually not just permission, please do, because we can get so comfortable living behind the personality that we don't even allow the most authentic part of ourselves to really speak and to come to show up. So I need you to tap it, tap it so that it'll come up, draw from the well of who I am and not just from the presentation of who I am, you know. But again, this is deeper level type stuff or whatever that
Mhm.
I think that our society is kind of getting away from altogether.
Mm. No matter how bad they need it.
No matter how bad we
Mm.
need it, we are suffering. And it seems like everybody's trying to act like we're fine. Okay. All right.
Chrissy says we are multifaceted beings, and I feel that there are only certain people that are able and allowed to see deeper than the surface. That's crazy because I had that conversation with somebody today, this afternoon, and it was like a real quick conversation, but we kind of touched on that. I agree. It's the definition, in my little work, Angel and Lee always ask, how do I come up with these topics, or how does it go about? I don't know. I just go about my day, honestly. And I'm a geek, so I might be seeing something on the news. I might see something on somebody's talk show. I might hear something on somebody's podcast, or something of that nature, or It might be, in person, somebody I cross paths with at work, something I might see while I'm sitting at the stoplight in my car. And then these thoughts just kind of manifest, and intimacy had been resonating with me this week. And I googled the definition, and it's pretty dope. um, and it's not heavy. You know, it's not like, oh man, you got to break it down. The definition of intimacy is a private, cozy atmosphere.
Come on, private, cozy atmosphere.
You know,
I like
because
the private
right,
part.
you think
What
about
we do
all the
like this,
things
cozy.
when it's like that, when you
Yeah, that's cozy. Private.
pow 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 pow.
Come on, my chocolate Hershey drop. Yeah.
And I think that's pretty dope. It's a private, cozy atmosphere coupled with close familiarity of friendship. And whatever your portion of friendship is with your person or people, that's what intimacy is. How do we rebuild levels of intimacy? Like you guys just said, we're hurting. We're hurting big time. As a community, as a society, as a culture, individually. So how do we cultivate or re-engage ourselves to have that level of vulnerability so we can experience true intimacy? you know um, Especially emotionally, especially spiritually, you know
Hmm.
and then you get whatever you're going to get physically too. um, I was checking out some other things, and tips on building come from a place of intention.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
First word.
uh, right,
Hmm.
right, right.
Hmm.
um, be willing to communicate,
Hmm.
you know
Honestly.
honestly,
Hmm. Be
right,
willing to communicate honestly. Yeah.
right. And then we got the V word.
Vulnerability.
Vagina.
That's right. I knew you was.
Oh,
I knew you never fail.
Niagara.
vulva.
You never fail. You never fail.
Stupid.
You never fail. Oh, next
Oh,
one.
that word. Oh.
Focus on maintaining trust. Practice empathy.
Mm.
Mm.
Find balance, right? And remain open. The proof is in the pudding. The stuff is all right there. It's all
It
right
is.
there in front of us, every single time. But how
Yeah.
how honest can we be with ourselves first? How vulnerable can we be with ourselves first in order to incorporate these things? Honestly.
Mhm.
And I think
It,
so far we've touched on everything on this list with the exception of maybe empathy. Um, but I don't think it was lost in the conversation. I think that's
Sure.
something that has to be there, has to be present in order for you to do all of those things. In order for
Mm-hmm.
you to have that open list, to be able to balance the communication, um, seeing the other person's side, being able to come from a place of understanding. That takes empathy. Um, Vulnerability and intention, that requires empathy. Um, Trust most definitely requires empathy. Uh,
it
if,
also
if hmm,
that trust piece also hugely requires forgiveness. Which incorporates also the whole empathy thing. Listen, when we're looking at each other, somebody did something to you. So you don't do nothing to nobody. You've never done anything to anybody.
no,
But what they've done to you is the vilest thing in the world.
mm,
Do you know what I mean? Like, and again, I get it. I'm in the same boat as most of us in this. We're trapped in this consciousness sometimes until we exceed it, until we go beyond it. We're trapped in this consciousness of tit for tat, match my energy type, whatever, in the
Right,
way that
right,
we
right.
generally use it. Or you did that to me, I'm never going to forgive you again. And it's like at the end of the day, I think our ability to trust changes as or with or coupled with our ability to forgive and to recognize to recognize ourselves in another, and to say, listen, I'm capable. We talk about people who do vile things, but if you stood in the mirror long enough and looked at a frightened part of you, you're capable to do some of the very things that some of these people that we don't want to be named with would do.
I literally just had this conversation Friday. Friday. There was a 3 hour uncomfortable conversation that took place. And part of that came out, me feeling like I was still looking for an apology for something that happened, over 10 years ago. And I had to realize that I was only able to um, love from a place of forgiveness at that time because I had at some point done the same thing.
Hmm.
I had done the same thing. Maybe not the exact thing, maybe not in the exact same way, but I had done
Mm-hmm.
the exact
Done the
same
same
thing.
thing.
And the only difference between you and me over here is that I didn't get caught.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
And I've had to be able to say that. And I remember saying that to a couple of people. I'm like, you need to go on and throw your forgiveness in there too, because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I I was a little slicker, but it didn't change my behavior. It didn't change the intention. It didn't change the hurt, that
Mm-hmm.
would have come out of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want to see how ugly we are.
Mm-mm.
And that's why I say a part of being vulnerable and being transparent, it starts with us. It starts with looking in the mirror and staring at our stomachs and seeing the wound and the scars. Like, ugh.
And humility.
Mm-hmm.
When you were talking, humility.
Yeah, because I ain't have to say that.
Yeah.
You know,
And
espe
even the
especially when you didn't get caught. You ain't got to
even the
you ain't
yeah,
got to
you
do
ain't have to
that.
say that. And even the part that you just said about, and look at my scars. So you just think that you're supposed to never go through nothing in life and never have a
Look
scar,
at
never
it.
have a humble
No,
yourself.
no.
Everybody, we all going through this thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, I'm talking to me, y'all, because I got a little
Mm.
scar from my thing last year. I hate it,
Oh,
hate it, and it's not even nowhere near as intricate as probably what you have had to go through.
but
Like, you know
here's
what I
the
mean?
thing now.
But it's
Part
like,
of
oh, humble
but
yourself.
part of my recovery includes massage
Well,
of
that can be a good
particular
part.
areas. No, not that. No, no.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's very specific.
She
The
said
things
no.
that I have to do. So it's not just looking at it. I gotta touch it.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I gotta put my hands on this thing. I got certain things I gotta do. I gotta put stuff on it. I got it. It's like we want so badly to forget that we have been wounded. We want so badly to forget that we have imperfections. We want
Ooh.
so badly to believe that this right here that you're getting is me all the time. When the truth is, if you call me on video on a Thursday night while I'm at home recovering, my hair ain't done yet. I ain't dressed yet. Ain't no makeup on. Lips ain't popping. They moisturized, but they ain't popping. Okay? You're not gonna get this. If you want me, you ain't gonna get this all of the time. You're gonna get a nasty scar. And
Woo.
the crazy thing is, for somebody that loves you, for somebody who has been intimate with you, for somebody who was in that close, deep connection relationship with you, when they see the scar, it's like, this is nothing. This is let me this is nothing.
Why we
What
don't do that though
we
with
see and what
emotional
they
scars?
see is two different things.
Why we don't do that with emotional scars?
Why we can't do that
There,
with ourselves?
we don't do it with ourselves, and we don't do it with emotional scar. Like we see somebody, and then now that because that scar or that thing has become a red flag. Do you know what I mean? Like it's now the red flag, and I don't want to deal with them because I see, you have an abandonment wound. Oh,
I can't get close
I can't get close to that. I can't get in that.
because I
I can't
can't
Or,
get
or,
leave.
or like
as
Torin
if they
just said,
have one.
we have a tendency to stand in judgment when we're done wrong. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But you know
so
what? You know where all that comes from? All of this, even that judgment. The root issue. I've been praying different prayers lately, y'all. It's been, God uproot this perfectionism out of me. That's why we're judgmental. This is why we're in shame. Is because somewhere you told yourself
Mm.
unconsciously or
Over and over.
non-consciously that you're supposed to be perfect and that every decision you make is supposed to exactly happen the way you planned for it to be. We
The
have
right
the
one.
man, listen, there's some perfection. Let's pray the real prayer. Let's pray the root prayer. God,
right.
deal with this. Some of I'm looking walking with people now through emotional things that they're going through. Everybody judges themselves for the emotions that they have. And it's like, why can't I get over this sadness? And I said, because you're judging it. We use words in our society. Sadness is a negative emotion. No, it's not. Sadness is a not feel good emotion. It's not
But
a
it's a
negative
feeling.
emotion. It's a true, natural, healthy emotion. It just doesn't feel good. But if we view it as it's a negative emotion, you have automatically set up to be an enemy against it. And the more you set up to be an enemy against sadness and to be in resistance to it, you're probably going to get more of it, or you're going to move into a realm where you're covering it. And then it'll come out later in your life.
Because you most certainly won't learn from it if you're
Because no,
rejecting it.
no, we won't. We won't. And it's like, but underneath all of that, again, it goes to, oh, you thought life was going to be perfect. You thought you were perfect. So you also think that when you get in a relationship with Angel, that she got to be perfect.
Not happening.
Well, she's an angel, duh.
I can
Yeah.
still be an angel and not be perfect.
So was Satan.
Oh no. Heck, let me go. Straight kicked out the crib.
Mm.
Damn.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
Oh my God.
That's a deep rooted thing. It's in me, and I'm trying to get it out. Like it's like there's this thing, and after you've been through things so many times, been through relationship issues, and we have to fight the real principality. We think it's the people and the other person, and this generation. No, it's a principality that's governing that I think that a lot of times we don't see because we're too busy in our perfection lists for ourselves and for other people. And it's a hindrance, it's a block, y'all. It's a block to intimacy. Somebody just asked me, I got a few groups that are divorce related and stuff like that. And some people have been also talking about being in the dating world and talking about how you just can't trust nobody. And this, I said, you know why it's so hard? This is not to judge the world. Everybody's doing, for the most part, what they've known to do or what's comfortable, or we're all operating under this lower vibrational consciousness. I said, do you know everybody's walking around? You realize, have you all noticed too, just even that it's harder to get to know people these days, like to know them, to get to really know
Mhm.
them? It's because everybody's walking around protected. So if everybody's walking around protected, how do we expect to be intimate? How do you expect intimacy if you going into the relationship one eye
Jaded,
open?
side eye.
Bombastic side
Yeah,
eye.
do you know what I mean? How do you expect intimacy if you don't even trust you?
Mm-mm. And you know why I don't trust me? Because I'm living from a place of survival.
I just taught that. Just talked about that. I've been doing a master class for the last 8 weeks on the Circles app
Oh no,
about
that's what's up.
reclaiming my tomorrow post divorce or whatever. But the principles I've been laying out it's not just divorce. It's just y'all know how I do, right? So it's everything in life. and we were just talking about that. One of the weeks was on moving from survival mode to thriving mode, but it's like one of the reasons you're having a hard time trusting yourself is because you're in survival mode and your soul knows a song that your lips are not singing. Your
Mm-hmm.
soul knows you're in survival. So your soul, which is the real core essence of who you are ultimately, that's trying to talk, that's trying to speak, it's like, I don't trust you in this fear.
Mm-hmm.
You don't call it fear. You call it protecting yourself. But your
Mm-hmm.
soul is saying that's not us. That's not really us. I know you're afraid of getting hurt. I did one of the weeks was on guarding your heart. This week I'll do guarding your heart part 2. But one of the weeks was on guarding your heart the proper way, not guarding your heart as in I put a whole bunch of armor around it and wrap chains around it and whatever. And can't nobody.
That's a
It's a
defense
fortress. Can't nobody
mechanism.
get in, get out. Right? It's a defense mechanism or policing of people. It said guard your heart is really ultimately about keep. It says, what does the scripture say? Let's go to the Bible. That Bible say, guard your heart with all diligence, for from it flows the
The
issues of
issues of
life.
life.
All right. So if it's shut off, ain't nothing flowing from
In
it.
or out.
All right, in or out of it. It might be some stuff in there brewing, but ain't nothing flowing in or out. So it's like if from it flows the issues of life, then guarding it must mean I need to keep it flowing the way that it was designed to flow. Yeah, but we think about it about keeping people out, and it's actually against evil. It's not even so
Not
much
people.
against people. So it's like you guard your heart with love, not from love, but we're putting these armors up because I've been hurt. I asked the group the other day, I was like, everybody just said what you said about whatever, and then we all probably going to agree on this. Have your protective measures actually worked? Because although I may not be getting these words from Angel because I've set up these boundaries, I'm still hurt that our connection is lost. I'm still hurt that so she's not doing anything to me now because I ain't dealing with her no more. I didn't cut her off. But I'm still hurting the essence of my being that's a communal being, that's relational in nature, that seeks to really be connected. Somebody said one time, oh, I've gone no contact with my, you know, significant, but I don't know why I feel so lonely and why I feel so. You don't? You've gone no contact. And this wasn't a judgment against the person, but it was like, you got to do what you got to do in your relationship if it was abusive, if it was whatever. But that speaks to, listen to it. You've gone no contact, right? We're not designed for no contact. Like we're not designed for, but again, situations in that situation, you've had to do what you've had to do. But ultimately, that don't mean just because you did what you had to do in that situation that it changes what you're going to experience as a soul that's designed to be connected, to be seen, known, loved, and heard deeply, and to be
And
given
reconciled.
in
Because that's
relationship.
the only ministry we were given in the first place. So
The
a lot
real.
of these no contact situations don't leave space for reconciliation.
Mm-mm. And the
Sometimes it's
soul grieves
unsafe
that.
to do so, but I think a lot of times there's an opportunity for that we don't even tap into.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The
We just
soul
I
grieves
just
it.
go.
Y'all might think I'm crazy, but I know the soul grieves it. The soul knows the song that our lips have never sung.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I'm finding that that's why some people don't want to get to know their soul. Maybe
Hmm.
they don't. They think they don't want to know this. It's like,
They
well, I don't want to go
don't
there. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to be intimate. If I go vulnerable, then I'm going to give myself completely to this
because
relationship.
they
Well,
don't
what
trust
you supposed to
themselves
do?
because
There
they're
we go.
still living in survival.
We
Come on,
cannot reconcile because we don't consider ourselves.
talk, talk. Speaking
Talk,
to the mic,
would
friend.
you come
Speaking,
on
speaking to the mic, friend.
in here? He say he
Yep.
enjoying the dialogue. You are in the dialogue.
He's
You
speaking
are the
into the mic.
dialogue.
He's speaking it right. He's speaking into the mic right there. Yeah.
What are some unique forms of expressions of intimacy? Now that we've built on what intimacy is, what it means, how can we deliver that effectively or even receive it effectively?
Ooh, that receiving part, I'll leave that for you masters, because it's so hard for us to receive stuff, from people. But I think the little simplest things to reveal to people that I heard you and I see you and I consider you, very practical stuff. Like I'm not even talking about like deep romantic.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we can be
Right.
romantic even in friendship. So I'm not, but I'm just like I'm
Yeah.
not even talking, but just
Because we is
recognition that
romantical in this friendship. We is
oh we
romantical.
is we is my chocolate. Hold on. Sensational.
A
The
mess.
most sensational.
But you know what? I think even just giving and Angel, I'd say this real quick, and then you go like even just this, and sometimes this is very practical, very surface, and anybody can do it. A little inside joke that the other person's get that maybe nobody else in the room gets, but this little inside joke says, "I see you."
I have my
Right.
own names for Bryson. She
Give,
has her own names for me.
mm.
And you already know you my to the moon and back.
To
Cause
the moon.
that take gas, baby. I came back.
I took a picture of that moon too.
Listen, I really feel like that acknowledgement is a huge piece. You know, I had this thing in my phone. I was gonna, be saving stuff to post for whenever. That's the one.
That's the
And,
moon.
and I don't know. I
Put
think
that
I
on my phone.
finally deleted it because it just felt like it was coming from a negative place. But it was something like I hate being ignored. Like if you don't want to talk to me, don't talk to me. But tell me something. Don't just ghost or whatever. Something like
Hmm.
that. But for me, it's acknowledgement. So even that I see you, um, and I have these conversations a lot with people. If I send you a message, acknowledge my message. Even
Hmm.
if you can't respond to it right now, because a lot of times if I send messages, and depending on who it is, it might be a video, it might be words, it might be a whole recording. I'm good with that. Acknowledge it and get back
Hmm.
to it. That's all I need. Don't leave me on red. Don't have it sitting in the box for 10 days. I don't need a lot. And I think part of me even not needing a lot is a defense mechanism
Mm-hmm.
because I've been in so many places where I didn't get enough.
Friend,
So
you got to put that on the list. You
so
got
now
to put
I
that one
just
on the
say
list to talk about
now I just say I don't need a lot.
defense mechanisms.
It is.
Jesus.
I've gotten so used to bare minimum in so many spaces to where I will take acknowledgement when what I really want is that dissertation that I
Because
gave you. I want
we're
it back.
afraid we're afraid to expect more than that,
No, because we
especially
think
in this
we
culture.
think it's unrealistic. We think it's too much to ask.
Yeah.
We think it's beyond the scope of what somebody else can provide for us. But that don't change the fact that I want it
Right.
because that's what I gave you. That's kind of what I wanted back. Everything ain't reciprocated,
In that same
but
that
in your
especially not that same
own way, how can you count? How can you do that? So in your own way, can you just acknowledge that I sent you this long ass message, please?
rate. That part.
And let me know. I'm gonna get back to you as soon as I can. And you know what I'm gonna do? Not send another message until you get, until you get back to me.
Yeah. I think acknowledgement is huge. I'm thinking about that in so many instances. Let's say, honestly, and this may sound shallow, think about the social media world. It, I can post happy birthday and it gets 600 likes. I can post I'm having a friendship retreat and it gets one. I know you've seen it. Just because you can't go, that's not a,
And I think
and I'm
that's
just
what it
using that
is.
as an example, but it's like we
Yeah.
know we live in a society like I try, it's like standing in, well, I guess people do that in real life. Like it's like standing in an elevator and you don't even acknowledge that there's another human being in this elevator. And it's like, so that's another thing for the intimacy.
Listen, not even gonna
Reverence for
stand
life.
next to the button, so you don't ask me to push. You don't really see me, do you?
you don't even, you don't
Push
even
your
see
own
me,
button.
don't want to see me. But I think real practical things, I think there's just numerous ways, as many as there is people, as much as there is people, of little simple ways where we can actually express intimate levels of, but again, you can't express intimacy with people if you don't know people. So I think also doing your work to expose you, doing your work of vulnerability. I honestly, you all don't. I'm not. I promise you, I'm not arrogant today. Some of me do, some of me doing my work to align is because I want to speak to your worth. It's and speak to my worth. Because technically I don't see them different.
Mm.
I got a whole master's degree in human services for a reason. It's like so me doing my work of alignment. When I say hashtag I am love for you, I'm doing multiple things with that one phrase. It's one, I'm holding myself accountable to be love for you, not just have it. Because see, I love cookies and I devour them babies. But to say that I am love for you says that I'm going to give you the conditions. Listen to this: the conditions that you need to thrive. How can I give you the conditions that you need to thrive if I'm not doing my own work of learning how to be emotionally intelligent, not doing my own work of how to be spiritually aligned? I'm
Mhm.
not doing my own work of how to have self-control. If I don't have any of those things, I'm going to hurt you.
Mm.
If I don't have any of those things, I'm going to misuse you and abuse you. If I don't have any of those things, I can't give you anything that's going to cause you to thrive, not from the essence of who I am. So it's like I'm speaking to your worth and my worth. How am I speaking to my worth? Because I also have to believe that I'm worthy of bringing such conditions to you,
Mm-hmm.
that the water that I bring is worthy for you to drink.
Hmm. Because only some people only drink certain kinds of water now.
I,
That
I'm
is
not doing no
purified.
advertisement, so I turned it around.
You'll turn it back because I
They
know
ain't
what kind
paid
of
me.
people that
They
is.
ain't paid me no money, but y'all know what it is, and that's all I drink. So if you ain't bringing me, no, I'm just playing. I'm just, playing. But no, but
But
seriously,
that goes,
deeply
but that
thinking,
says something though. Even in that simple example, I know what water you drink. If you come to my house, guess what's gonna be here?
that's gonna see that's intimacy because it's like
Right,
I know this
right,
person.
right.
Do you understand? It's like the simplest little things I think can be. And again, it doesn't mean all the time. It doesn't mean that because we can't
Right?
be
Because if it don't sell, you
unreasonable.
ain't gonna get it if it ain't no.
Exactly, because it
But
ain't cheap.
but I know that, and it's not just okay. I'm just gonna give you a glass of water out the sink because
Please
I
don't.
think we also have to. I do have
Mhm.
no feelings about water, but we also have to see the person how they want to be seen.
Yeah,
So
and
it's not
believe them
just
as
I
yes,
don't
yes.
just see you. I see you. You want to drink bougie water. So I'm gonna make sure you get it. If it's within my power, it's bougie. If it's within my power to let him just say, "Oh, I like that." Him say, we don't render acknowledgement because it releases our responsibility to be vulnerable. You're right. So if I
Speaking
don't
to the mic.
acknowledge what
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
water he has, or if I, pretend like I don't know, I also know he got a specific kind of apple juice he likes to drink too. I know that. I also know he has a specific kind of root beer he likes to drink too. I know that. So if I don't acknowledge it, then I'm no longer responsible for making sure it's in my refrigerator, right? Okay. So for people who go past your post, if they don't like it, that means you didn't see them like it. Because if you saw them like it, you might actually reach out and say, "Hey, friend, I saw you liked my post.
Which I won't do because that means you don't know me too.
Of course not, because we ain't gonna never do that. We don't talk to humans. Are you kidding me? we got like 10 humans we talk to. We're not gonna message you and say, "I know you saw my flyer. Do you want to buy a ticket?" Nobody's gonna do that. But people feel like, oh, he might say something, or he gonna know, or they feel guilty because they can't participate.
And again, and I think and that's where it's like all of these things I think we have to take into consideration that's really what comes up. Like all of these things are possibly what's coming up for people. I'm finding more and more, man, we all got some stuff that we really need to work through. And it's like this is why I said I think this is why my life's work is dedicated to these kind of things, is because all of us are really truly in the same boat. And it's like it's a lot of things that come up as to, man, I don't want to like that because I can't go.
Okay.
and I don't want them to feel like you. But instead of
I'm
us
gonna
being
like
able
it
to
every
have,
time I see it, and I ain't going
I
because it's
I
people
would
gonna
too.
be there.
I would too. I would too. But it's like it's the like you said. It's kind of like the why can't we say that though to each other? There's a space that I sense in humanity. This is like, but why can't we say that to each other? Like the reason we have so much misunderstanding, and again, even if you said this to some people, the reason that they couldn't understand it sometimes is because they still have healing to do, right? But it's like, why can't we say that so that we can actually really start digging into what it is for us all to truly, really heal? I want my heart wide open, exposed to my friends. I even have found that I want it as wide as I can possibly have it to strangers. Do they all honor it and respect it?
No.
No. Have I seen some do it? Yes.
Yep.
Yes. When I've said to people, you've erected boundaries in your life now. You're healing now, right? So you look different than you did to your friends that's been your friends for 15 years. You changed. It's changed for the better,
Mm-hmm.
but you changed. And if you have not told them what you're doing, and that the reason you had to say no is because you used to say no, yes, because you were people pleasing and whatever. If
Mm-hmm.
they don't understand your process, you're probably going to lose that friend because
Oh yeah.
they're not even given the opportunity. They just feel like you acting funny.
Mm-hmm.
You owe them some
Mm-hmm.
explanation. I've had people say several times, y'all seen me post things, you say, oh, you don't owe people. Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. Not owe as in I can change what I'm finna explain, but in the sense to say, I know I have been Pastor LeAnzar or AP or whatever to so many people for so many years. So if there's something that's a little bit more exposed, and I'm still that to, whatever, but it's like if there's other levels that have started to show up, I owe it. And I'm saying this with air quotes because it's not like you're going to go to hell if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I value relationships, because I value and reverence people's life and their processing, I'll answer any question you ask me because I want you to know what I'm doing. I don't want you to think I'm just acting funny. That again is one of those things where people start to feel abandoned. They start to feel that what they believed in and what they trusted in, and meaning you, has now gone and gone. So then what does that cause in us when we feel like everybody we had is now gone left? And again, in the society that we're in, people are like, you ain't got to do all that. Yeah, we don't have to do it. But look at what it has gotten us
Mm-hmm.
by not doing it. Look at what that has gotten us. Now, again, if I tell you I'm in a relationship with a man and you have a problem with that, I'm not going to change that for you. However, I'll answer any question that you desire for me to ask in that. If that's not what you're used to from me. So you're getting something different from me. Now, if we can't walk together, we can no longer be friends. We can no longer be. Then okay, I'm gonna grieve it. I don't know how you gonna feel because most people walk away with a hard, proud, haughty. Jesus say shake the dust. I guarantee you, he probably grieved when he had to shake the dust, leaving certain cities where he wanted to deliver his message and who he is. So it's like, but we are not bold enough to even go. We're afraid to say we need each other today. We will even, like you said, Angel, we'll sort of, in some senses, and not even realize we're doing it, downplay what we need because we don't want to appear to be too much.
Right.
I've somebody asked me recently, it's like I'm being very vocal about certain things these days. It's like be assertive in what you need. Again, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to answer it. It doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that many of the people are going to answer it, but at least you will have communicated it and given people the opportunity to know you. And even in me asking for the things that I ask for, I also still take into consideration myself and say, is this unreasonable? Are you expecting something from people that you're not even doing? Or, you still got to ask yourself those questions too and be intimate enough with yourself to see the areas where I kind of still need to kind of grow in this area. So me asking for connection is different than me asking for y'all come run my life for me
Mm-hmm.
because I can't make it unless you know what I mean. It's like, so really understanding and processing the purity of what it is that we really want what it is that we really need, first of all, then what it is that we want, and then who we have in our camps that can do that on whatever level that's going to be. But we're afraid to say what's going on. We're afraid to say what's really happening. I don't want to say proudly, but it's like, I am lonely. I miss having a male best friend deeply. But that doesn't mean that now you move into, because I was saying to somebody earlier this week, you expressing that you have a need, or you expressing, does not equate to you're unhappy, or that you're an unhappy person, or that you, but
Mhm.
anything you say that don't look like you celebrating the new job, the new house, the new car, the new whatever, or anything you say where you looking for love, or this is that, people are going to judge you as if it's not something all of us need. And some of us pride ourselves on the fact that we've chosen the lifestyle that we've chosen for whatever, or chosen the life that we've chosen, and we'll pride ourselves on, I don't need nobody. I beg to differ. And a
Well,
lot of it I call BS.
y'all better get y'all a cozy, private, cozy atmosphere and stop
Listen,
playing. Oh, come on. Come on. Give me face, y'all. Give me face. Come on.
too much.
Lick your lips, Lick. Lick your lips.
Mm-mm. Yes, I'm not doing that. You can get this eye.
Y'all a mess.
This is good. This is good. And I think when we just make a decision to be present, we make a decision to be transparent, vulnerable, honest. It's really, really not that hard. It's just about doing the work.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
just about doing the work and thriving versus surviving. Let's do the work. You know, it's time. It's beyond time. Let's do the work. Everybody that had some insight and these comments and stuff, uh, amazing, amazing. We thank you for chiming in, for sharing, and for exposing, your certain levels of transparency and vulnerability in just sharing, your thoughts, um, because we know that it comes from a place, you know, maybe of experience somewhere in your journey. So thank you for that.
I
Um,
would show my hoochie daddy shorts, but Chrissy, I don't got none on today. So
like he doesn't have on any bottoms like at all. He
oh
means.
yes, I do. I got
Oh,
on
do you?
some.
Oh, okay, on
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're not
I
hoochie
was waiting for the after show.
daddy. Well, Chrissy had put that in the chat. So I mean in the comments. So it was like,
Hilarious.
but I'm holding intimate space for you, dear.
If you guys want to stay, I know Chrissy. He stay playing, don't he?
So
Make sure everybody that's tuned in, and we know this goes out all over across the world, and we have people from other countries who actually chime in on this stuff, which
oh
we certainly
And share it.
and
yes.
share it. Much
Yeah, we're
obliged.
we're 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 popular in the UK.
Yeah, love it, love it. Just be mindful, and check out my genius friends. AngelSimmons.com, LeAnzarStockley.com. You can go to their pages, their social media pages at LeAnzar and at Soul Society 61 and Love's Great Design and The Message Inc.
I'm putting them up there. I
But you know what? My eyes were closed because I was
I
really,
know.
I was tuned in. I was like, I can do it. I was like the little engine
You
that
did
could.
good, friend. You did good.
Thanks, thanks, thanks. And you
And
guys did
here's you.
amazing. Oh, me. Oh, me.
The
Hey, and if
mastermind.
you guys do follow me, check me out, you'll see more in my stories than you will on my page.
Mm.
It's easier for me. It's simpler, but it's always thought provoking. It might be some buffoonery every now and again, but it's
Ooh,
usually some heart to heart.
We need some buffoonery.
Yeah,
every
yeah.
now and again.
Every now and again. Um, Final thoughts. Okay, then we are
You
all
said thoughts, not words. So,
Tora. Thank you.
Hilarious.
Okay, final word. Boy, I tell you,
What do you say?
oh.
it's good.
Thank you. We gonna leave on your note, Tori.
That's
We gonna
it.
leave on your
Y'all got
note.
to get him on the show one day because
Good, good.
he got something to say.
With his,
He
I
know how
know he,
Does.
he just enjoying the
I know he a
dialogue.
genius because he got two first names. I know. I know you smart. You smart, smart. I know
He's smart, smart. Two first names.
it. Why you
Catch
Mm-mm.
us.
why you fighting it? Why you fighting it?
Stay tuned for our next show. We'll be posting that real soon. Within the next couple of weeks, we definitely try. We are re-engaging and getting back on track and doing this monthly. Um, and it's always a new experience. So we're super grateful for everybody who tunes in, who supports, who loves, who likes, who shares, who comments, and all the things. So until next time.
Until next time. Oh, wait.
Uh-oh, Chrissy. It's too cold for that, Chris. Oh, what? Oh, is this FaceTime? What's this? How we ending the show now?
We hit
So
the
is that a final thoughts, final words,
we,
final looks?
Final show.
we if you don't hit the button.